Hey everybody, Vince Ingenito here. I am at PAX East 2015, right now hanging out in the lounge with the Motiga folks. I'm with James Finney of Motiga. How you doing, James?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm doing terrific. We're playing some Gigantic, and right now we're showing off one of the two new characters you guys brought here to Boston for us. And tell us how you pronounce her name.
Ashlyn or Ashling.
Okay.
It's fine. Yeah, it's A-I-S-L-I-N-G, so people get a little confused.
Kind of an interesting name. And kind of, so what's her archetype, and what would you say overall, like, she does? What does she bring to the table?
Yeah, she's one of the more diverse characters in terms of how you can spec her and play her, but fundamentally she's a pet class, right? So she's got, you can see this magic sword she's running around with, and she just summoned Sir Kador there.
Great. Which skill is that?
So you can use either the right mouse button or Q to send him out, and then he'll do something different depending on which one you did. So he just used Q, interrupts what people are doing. You can see him there sort of doing a war cry for a moment. And then he'll just fight from there. You can use right mouse button or Q to sort of change where he goes, and then you can use her E skill to draw him back into the blade. So anytime you see her there with the sword upright and glowing with energy, Sir Kador is in the blade.
Yeah, it's so Kador, that's the summoned like your spectral ally character. So it seems like you'd be able to control a fair amount of space with him from ranges that maybe a melee character wouldn't normally be able to.
Yeah, definitely. She can engage from a little farther out and stay safe, which is good. She doesn't have a ton of hit points or armor, though she is tougher depending on what upgrades you take when she's got the sword glowing like that. And then he's actually taken an upgrade here where whenever he uses that E skill to recall Kador back into the blade, he heals himself and nearby allies. So you'll see him send Kador out, use him to attack, and then pull him back in if she gets in any trouble.
Very cool. So if we can just kind of do a brief rundown of each of these skills. So the left mouse is just slash.
Yeah, it's just a normal sword strike, although what you see here is he's actually been sending out these waves of energy.
Oh, cool.
And that's an upgrade that he took. Again, you can play her more support. You can play her to sort of dive in a little bit more. You can play her to like side by side with her with the ghost or not. He's taking a choice here where he can stay back at range a little bit, summon, and then just send out these waves of energy, try to stay safe.
Yeah, cool. That's a little bit more my style. Control space from afar and kind of get shots in from more of the back line fighting. I love that kind of style. So right click is Kador's charge, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the spectral ally abilities.
Yeah, that'll just send him out, and he'll do a bunch of damage when he first shows up. Again, it depends on how you spec it, but like you can spec it so he'll set people on fire when he first gets out, or sort of disrupt what they're doing.
Cool. Now I'm curious, can the other characters disrupt Kador? Like, is he a physical entity?
Yeah, he's got hit points and you can kill him. And if you do kill him, all of her skills except her normal attack go into like a 15-second cooldown.
15 seconds? That's an eternity.
Yeah, it's a pretty fast-paced game. So 15 seconds is a long time. What I'd say is don't let him die. You can always use the E skill to draw him back unless it's on cooldown.
Right. So that's what I was going to get into. So well, E is coming up, but also Q is his war cry ability, which we've seen here once or twice already. And what does that do again overall?
Yeah, so that'll interrupt people there, and then depending on which way you go, you can spec it so it will slow people and weaken them and make it much harder for them to fight, or you can focus more on defensive abilities in the area, which I think is what he did. I think I saw him do this a moment ago, where he can create this protective bubble.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wow, Kador sounds very versatile. It sounds like there's a little bit of CC in there, offensive capabilities, defensive capabilities. Really cool. So and then E, we kind of went into for a second. That's into the blade. That draws Kador back.
Yep.
And that's kind of what if you see Kador getting low, you don't want to deal with that long cooldown, so you pull him back.
Yeah, and you can also bring it back for other reasons. Like I said, he took an upgrade where it heals him when he uses it. You can also take upgrades that make it so that you're much better in combat after bringing him in. So you bring him back and then just tear people up with that sword.
Awesome. So I can see now that Ashling's focus attack is charged and ready to go. So that's called Terrify, I believe. Yeah. What's that all about?
So this just sort of slows enemies and reduces the damage they do. It sort of just locks them down, makes it difficult for them to win any kind of fight.
Gotcha. So it sounds like it's a great team fight initiator.
Yeah.
Great way to open an engagement involving multiple heroes. Awesome. So one of the things I love about Gigantic, and we've talked about it a little bit already, is that depending on the skill choices you make, you can really end up kind of playing a different character. We've covered a lot of that. So what are some of Ashling's more interesting more interesting upgrades that don't just focus on straight line, like, hey, here's more damage or a better cooldown.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think definitely going with the ranged attack on left mouse button completely changes the way you play.
Sure.
If you don't do that, she can actually get a whole different set of debuffs that she'll do if you're willing to get into melee range. But it's a very different mindset to get in there, hit guys, weaken them, reduce the damage that they're going to do, and then try not to get killed because you've run into this squishy character.
And I also saw that there was a unique kind of mechanic she has where, depending on how she's holding the sword, it kind of changes how she plays.
Yeah. So that really just is depending on whether Sir Khador's out or not. Anytime he's out, you'll see the sword isn't glowing and it's sort of dragging on the ground, and she's not as strong with it. And anytime she calls him back with the E skill, then she becomes much more powerful. And again, depending on which upgrades you take, she can get to a point where now she's setting people on fire every time she hits them, and she's got extra armor because he's there, all that kind of stuff.
Cool. So Khador's really versatile and really powerful, but without him, with him out and about doing his thing, she becomes less powerful, and she's also, of course, taking that risk that he'll get taken out and that all her abilities will basically be on cooldown. So big risk reward there. I love character design like that. This has been super interesting to see. Aisling seems like a very versatile, but kind of maybe a little bit more of an advanced character.
Yeah, definitely. Or, it sort of depends on when we say advanced. There are characters that are advanced because the pure twitch skill that's required is tricky, and then there are characters that are advanced because the sort of thought process is required.
It's conceptually advanced.
Yeah, and she's definitely more along that line, but that means for some players, she actually feels very natural and easy to pick up because they're used to thinking of things that way.
Sure, and actually on that note, I know that you guys, a lot of times when someone sits down for the first time to play Gigantic, you kind of ask this question, what kind of games do you play? What kind of games do you feel most comfortable with? What kind of player do you think Aisling caters to most?
Definitely sort of RPG pet class kind of thing, right? Cool. Those are where the sort of basics come from for her skill set, and so I think if you're used to doing that kind of stuff, you'll feel pretty comfortable with her.
Awesome. Well, James, thank you so much for running us through Aisling, one of the 2 new characters that you guys are showing off for Gigantic. And for more on Gigantic and everything else from PAX East 2015, keep it right here on IGN.